Hello. All right, we're going to circle back to self-trust. I had a community member tag me and they said, "Hey, Heather, I'm trying this whole self-trust thing. I watched your video. I wrote it down and I said to myself, you're going to do kitchen's closed. Kitchen's closed. And oh my gosh, I was back in there again eating. Why is it I can't do this? Unless kitchen's closed, which AK for those of you that don't know, basically means you decide at 7 or 8 or whatever time that you're not going back in the kitchen for any reason, right? Unless that's something you do now with almost 100% efficiency, meaning you do it all the time now, that's not a good starting place with self-trust. Self-trust has to be whatever you're doing now. Pay attention to what you're doing now with very little effort and start there. And that's exactly, I gave myself compassion and kindness. And I said, all right, Heather, you don't have a whole lot in the way of self-trust here. What are you doing that is fairly easy for you? Not difficult, not a challenge. And that's where everybody wants to go. They think they should be able to do kitchen's closed. They think they should be able to do, I'm going to force myself to hit my calorie target. They think that's not the whole point of self-trust. Self-trust is about self-trust. And so it's not forcing yourself to do something you've been not able to do. Self-trust is about building that connection with you where you say something and you verify that you in fact did it. That's the whole point of self-trust. Over time, you're making deposits into this relationship you have with yourself. You're gaining a sense of trust within you that you have skills necessary to do things you say you're going to do. So right now, observe your behaviors. If you get up every morning and you take a 10 or 15 minute walk with the dog and it's fairly effortless, that should be one of the things on your self-trust list because you're doing it already with almost 100% of the time efficiency. If every day you take your multivitamin with your coffee and it's easy for you, put that on your self-trust list. You're gonna do really easy things for several months because you're building the practice of checking back in with yourself. Today, April 25th, I will go for a 10-minute walk with the dog. Initial here. Tomorrow, I'm going to take my multivitamin with coffee. Initial here. These are all things you might already be doing. Comes very naturally to you. After months of doing that, then you push it a little bit. You say, okay, I'm doing really good. I'm checking in with myself every day. I'm writing down things I think I can do or know I can do. Now, I'm going to take it one step further. I am going to put something that might be a little bit more difficult for me, like, for example, maybe having just 2 snacks at night instead of 3, right? And so my goal would be, maybe I have 2, but this is after months of you doing the easy stuff. You can't jump ahead because, see, you can't force trust. If your kid lies to you, or your friend lies to you and lies to you for years and years and years, they aren't going to do one really great thing and then all of a sudden you trust them. They're going to have to really put in the effort for months and months and maybe years before that real basic form of trust comes back. That's what you're working on building with yourself. So you've got to start out with simple things and then build into harder things. But you can't jump into harder things and think some kind of self-trust activity is going to force you to behave in a way that you think is what you should be doing. So I hope that makes sense. These are the things, when you start with self-trust, you get a notebook, number 1. You put the date. You put the thing that you do right now, very naturally. You initial off on it. Once that's been filled up for several months of doing those kinds of behaviors, then you start to challenge yourself a little bit by putting things that would I like to be called stretch goals, right? These are things that I think I can do these, like they feel tangible, they feel like that they're right there, but I just need to make that my focus so I can build some more trust around these harder things. But that comes later, months later. I hope that helps. I'll talk to you soon.